Hello you sexy beasts and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to show you a special little night match in the new Japanese Mitsubishi T2 top tier jet. This is one of the first, well actually the only rank 6 aircraft that Japan currently has in its lineup, and it is goddamn glorious. This right here is the new fastest jet in the game by a long shot. By a absolutely long shot. On top of being the fastest jet in the game, it also gets radar. As you can see, I'm going to be using this extensively during this match, trying to fight enemies in the night and in the clouds, and it's going to prove quite effective at doing that. It also gets radar target lead indication, which you're also going to see when we engage some enemies, which essentially is like a even better than arcade mode lead indicator, because it's actually much more accurate and allows you to hit your enemy, especially when you're like me, who is really bad at aiming aircraft guns, so it's a huge help for me. You also get access to 2 AIM-9Es, which can pull up to 10 Gs. These are essentially upgraded version of the AIM-9B, a lot more maneuverable, have a higher range, and are quite nice overall. However, a bit situational. I don't get too many kills with these missiles. Your target has to be pretty unaware of you, even with the higher G-pull. They just are a bit unreliable at the moment. And since you only get 2 of them, you don't really get many chances with that. Thankfully, you do have a 20mm Gatling gun in the nose, which is both a benefit and a drawback, really. The benefit is, of course, that you have 750 rounds, and you fire them off at 6,000 rounds per minute. You have about a 12-second timer for your ammunition. Now, this is good in the case that you have a lot of volume of fire, which makes it quite easier to just saturate an area and hit an enemy. But, being that they're only 20mm, and for some reason I seem to spark them a lot, they don't do too much damage unless you get a really good burst in. And because the fire rate is so high, you lose your ammo extremely quickly. As I said, 12 seconds goes by really quick. But the biggest problem these guns really have is the spool up time. Now, I don't think this is something that actually happened to the real plane, so I suppose this is some kind of balancing detail, I would say. But it takes about half a second from you pressing the button to fire to the gun actually firing, which makes it very hard or pretty much impossible to just do snapshots or short burst fires. You're going to have to press the button for much longer, and you're going to have to anticipate when you are going to be needing to fire by a lot longer than usually, which makes it hard to react to evading enemies, for example, quite hard. Apart from the main gun and the heat seekers, you can also choose to carry bombs or rockets. For the most part, you don't really need them. The bombs do slow you down a lot. Usually, with only the heat seekers mounted, this plane can reach supersonic speeds at sea level in straight flight. Not so much with the bombs. They are going to slow you down quite a bit, they are quite heavy. But the bombs are enough to take down about a base and a quarter of another base. So if you're running this from the stock, you can at least use that to get a little bit more RP. The rockets I haven't actually tried out yet. They come in rocket pods. Given my previous experience with rocket pods, I would not recommend using them, simply because they are going to drag you down quite a lot. And dragging down is something you don't want to do to this plane, because it really relies a lot upon speed. You guys have probably seen the Japanese T2 spam if you've been playing, or at least trying to play top tier jets since the few days that the patch has been out. And you've probably noticed that it's pretty much impossible to catch one of these if they just keep flying straight. F-100s, MiG-19s, the German MiG-19s which is upgraded, they can't really keep up. This thing has the best high-speed acceleration, it has one of the best climb rates, if not the best climb rate, it has the best straight line speed at pretty much any altitude. It is an extremely fast plane. However, it is not idiot-proof. The main problem with the T2 is the energy retention when in a turn. Sure, you can go very fast in a straight line. You can even convert that speed very easily into altitude and climb up to amazing altitudes. So much so that this is one of the first planes that can effectively break the game barriers, because it can go above 16 kilometers altitude, which is the limit of the skybox of the gameplay area. When you go above 16 kilometers, it puts you into return to battle. It eventually spawns you back down below 16 kilometers. This plane can reach that quite easily. But the moment a T2 turns, it hemorrhages speed. It's insane how much speed and energy one of these things loses when it tries to go on a turn. So much so, even if you do a split S downwards, you don't gain speed, you still lose speed. You're losing altitude and speed. Now this means a few things. One, a T2 can't really dogfight. Even though you can technically pull up to 13 Gs, you're even going to see that later on in the video, at very high speeds without breaking your wings. Although you can break your wings if you roll whilst turning, or sometimes just randomly they pop off, or if you overspeed, of course. This thing just turns into a truck at anything below 500 km/h. Given the very small wing area, which results in a very high wing loading, you can even see how stubby those little wings are. This plane is really the worst at handling lower speeds, and by low speeds I mean 500 km/h. That's low speed for this plane. It is just completely useless when you are at anything below Mach 1, essentially. Now, as someone who is fighting T2s, you can use it to your advantage, especially if you have heat-seeking missiles. The F100 might even be the best example of that, given that it has 4 AIM-9Es. The way to kill a T2 is to force it to turn. Of course, you're still going to have the occasional not very savvy player, let's say that. Not very savvy player that's going to try and turn fight with the T2 and he's just going to die very quickly. The ones that are a bit smarter are going to keep their speed up. And the very good players you're not really going to have much of a chance against, even with the heat seekers. But I would say against the average T2 player, using some heat seekers to force them to turn and bleed their energy is by far the best way to deal with these things. You might not kill them with heat seekers, to be fair, because, again, this thing can pull 12 Gs at high speeds. But if you force it to turn enough times, it is eventually going to bleed so much enemy that either you or one of your teammates can catch up to it and just shoot it down with the guns. It isn't exactly the best plan at trying to evade enemy fire, especially not when it goes slow. Another way for you to kill T2s is by simply waiting for it to run out of fuel. Now, of course, most of the experienced players are just going to carry 30 to 45 minutes of fuel, because if you're not going to be turning anyways, and the fuel load doesn't really do too much to your climb rate and top speed anyways, you might as well take the full fuel load, given that you burn up at about 3 to 4 times the rate when having afterburners engaged. But eventually it is going to be running out of fuel. And if you happen to still be alive by that point, you can easily just strafe them as they are on the runway. Again, remember that 500 km/h is very slow for this thing, to the fact that you can even land at 500 km/h. This thing stalls at 300 km/h. That's how little wing area it has. So if you can catch one of these things landing or taking off, whilst it's in a low energy state, there isn't really much these things can do about you. They can't maneuver when they are at low speeds. That said, I wouldn't exactly agree with this thing being at 10.0. It can face other 10.0 jets just fine. I've been killed multiple times by MiG-19s, F100s, MiG-17s even. But it isn't exactly fair when you have this amount of power and speed and can regularly face MiG-15 business. This is a very late, very fast, over supersonic plane that can face a 50s jet that can't even go supersonic really, except in a dive maybe. Yeah, there is a definite power imbalance with this patch right now, thanks to this plane. And I think it's going to be staying this way until the next patch drops and Gaijin decides to give another nation its next overpowered plane that just vastly outshines everything else. That said, I do have to admit, it is my guilty pleasure. I love flying this plane so much. It's just so much fun, especially on this match, on this map, when it's nighttime, when you are hunting enemies on the ground, in the clouds, I mean. It is really, really fun. And I am going to be trying to use this thing in simulator mode next. Radar, anti-air missiles, no warning that you're getting shot by anti-air missiles, this amount of speed. I have a feeling this thing is going to be quite nice for simulator mode, so stay tuned for that. And anyways lads, this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the little gameplay in the background. I did mess up with the waterwork, I'm very sorry about that. It'll be fixed for next video. If you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be doing more videos on War Thunder and other games as updates come out. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like. As always, my name is MikeGoesBoom, and I'll see you in the next one.
You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Or instead you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find